Hey everybody, welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm your trusty host, adventurer. I'm Christel, it's nice to meet you. If you guys are catching this show, if this is your first one that you've ever found, I'm so glad you're here. Hi Nicole. And this show is all about taking one topic and riffing in and around it using the tools of access consciousness and all of my personal experience. And if you found this first before you found access consciousness, I highly recommend that you go check it out. It is a big, weird, wacky body of tools that has completely and totally transformed my life and the lives of thousands of others that I actually know. So I'm so excited that you found this. And I call this week's episode the entity tools that have changed my life the most. So for those of you guys that are joining, if you, Anna, if you would like to ask me something about entities, the spirit world, what's going on in your world that you suspect is the spirit world, please ask me. And I'll weave your questions as best I can throughout this half an hour, along with talking to you a little bit about the tools in this body of work called Talk to the Entities that have really changed my life the most. Hey, Lene, nice to see you. Hi, Unadi. It's so interesting because the Talk to the Entities tools are some of the most interesting for me to talk about, and they are probably some of the most life-changing. So I have said that before. So in this particular episode, I want to tell you a little bit about, and I'm going to have to I'm doing this off the cuff, so tell you a little bit about the entity tools that have changed my life the most. And then towards the end, like 10 minutes before we end, and I am keeping the time in front of me this time because I lose track all the time. Hi, Melinda. I'm going to answer your questions. A couple of you already sent in questions. So about the last 10 minutes, we'll do questions. Hi, Elizabeth. Okay, so the first entity tool that changed my life the most was the fact that they exist. They exist, and I know they exist. Those two things probably right there changed my life the most. And what's really fascinating about the simplicity of that is that it's too simple. And I'll tell you why that's changed my life the most. I did not realize that the myriad of symptoms that I had, and Anna mentioned, I've heard that sneezing can be awareness of entities. I didn't realize that the myriad of things that I was calling other things, so like headaches and foggy vision and irritation and anger, and I didn't realize that all those things were entity awareness. Now, I get more awareness about that all the time, but the fact that they exist and that I'm aware of them has probably changed my life the most because, I'll give you one example. I used to, at one particular person's house, always wake up in the morning or wake up in the middle of the night or wake up it was always when I was sleeping. So this is also interesting because entities, when you're not paying attention to them, will typically show up when you're sleeping because your barriers are down. Hey, Loretta. Hi, Maxie. I'd always wake up in the middle of the night just like coughing my face off, like literally just coughing until I couldn't stop. Every time I spent the night at this person's house. Now, this was a number of years ago. And at the time, and this is what we do with entity stuff, we write off entity awareness to other things. So a lot of us think we have fibromyalgia, or we've got chronic pain, or we've got all these things going on that we don't call entity awareness. We call it other things. And the thing about when you misidentify and misapply awareness as something else, you can't change it. So anyway, so every time I would spend the night at this person's house, I literally would wake up in the middle of the night dying from coughing. And so I didn't have the tools of access then, and hi Nancy. It's like fast forward a couple of years and I'm in the Talk to the Entities class, and they talk about entity awareness symptoms, possible symptoms. And one of them is sometimes you might find yourself just coughing for no reason. I looked back at that, and that particular person had entities running through their house. It was laden with entities. And so one of the ways that entity awareness, hi Susie, shows up for me is I start to cough really randomly. Now, you have to really watch where you go to conclusion where, oh, every time I cough, that means there's an entity. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to be willing to ask a question. But knowing that this kind of physical stuff can be, and usually is, awareness can be very helpful, because what you can add is, am I aware of entities? Yes or no? Now, before that class, I never would have thought to ask that, which is why I say one of the things that changed my life the most was the awareness that entities exist and I'm aware of them. They exist and I'm aware of them. They exist and I'm aware of them. Now, Shannon O'Hara, who's the founder and creator and, you know, originator of this body of work with Gary, says all the time in our recertifications that she's like, it's so interesting to me how people become talk to the entities facilitators, and then like 4 years later, after they've been facilitating these classes for 4 years, they finally get their facilitating entities. And it's just true, because I just did a foundation class this last weekend, and I have another one coming up if you missed that one. And the whole class, all 5 days, was in and around, well, is that thing yours? Was that thing actually yours? Was that way of functioning actually yours? Starting to get that, like, literally, every single sensation, every single problem, every single thing was, like, literally not yours and somebody else's. Which means that awareness shows up as ways of being, as reactions, as physical sensations, as all kinds of things. It's never the thing we label it as. It's always awareness. So, changed my life the most is there are entities and I'm aware of them. And those two things go hand in hand. Okay, so the question to ask yourself is, have you really fully acknowledged that there are entities all around? Number one, yes or no? And have you fully claimed that you're aware of them? Yes or no? Okay, so that's the tool that changed my life the most. They exist and I'm aware of them. They exist and I'm aware of them. I would say the second tool, entity tool, that changed my life the most is the entity clearing statement. Now, there's 3 primary tools when dealing with entities. An entity is just a disembodied being. That's all it is. It's just I'm a being, I have a body. There are other beings all around us that just don't have bodies. That's it. So there are 3 basically primary things to do with beings that, yes, but I haven't wanted more information until now. Yeah, cool. Well, that's the thing. You don't want more information until you do. And thank God that, consciousness just keeps going and inviting. Okay, so 3 primary tools for entities. So clearing, communicating, and receiving. Now, when you first start to come to these Talk to the Entity classes, we stick to the very first level basics. But one of the tools in the first level basics that changed my life the most was clearing. And here's the thing, you don't need somebody else to clear a being that you're aware of. You don't need to get a session. You don't need to have somebody else clear it for you. It doesn't matter where you find that being. If you find that being in your body, fine. If you find that being in your house, if you find that being out on your property, and I'm using one being as an example, many times there are more. It doesn't matter where you find the being, you can clear it. And I'm going to tell you what the clearing is, just in case you found this video randomly, okay? I would so want to attend your class tomorrow, but I already have a class at that same moment. Will it be possible to buy the replay, or do you have another one during the fall? Yes. So I do have an intro tomorrow as of the filming of this video. You're more than welcome to join. Links above. I also have a Talk to the Entities intro and beginning happening online at the end of October. So the intro and the beginning go together, so you can come to that as well. And that's on the Access site. Okay, so clearing. So it doesn't matter where you find this being. So here's the clearing. Truth, who are you? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, what's your job? Truth, what was your job before that? 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 And truth, who will you be in the future? You can take all your magnetic imprinting and you can go now. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. That whole thing is the clearing of an entity or multiple entities. You can clear uncounted entities with that one clearing, just so you know. You don't have to do the clearing for one entity at a time. You can just like get aware of, you know, I've cleared countries, and so has other people. So it's just simply putting your attention hey, is there anybody here that wants to be cleared? And you'll get a sense of that. And then you go, okay, cool, truth, who are you? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, what's your job? Truth, what was your job before that? Truth, what was your job before that? Truth, what was your job before that? And truth, who will you be in the future? You can take all your magnetic imprinting and you can go now. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, mans. I can't even tell you how many client sessions that I do, doesn't matter what it's about, business, money, life, where we clear an entity and the entire session is done. Problem, struggling, can't find the choice, hurt, you know, feel it, stuck. Literally, I'll ask, is there an entity? We get a yes. So a lot of times we get that there's more than one. We clear it, and literally the entire session is done. It's like, oh, that was the thing. Okay, gone. Because when you're being somebody else who's in your body, you're not being you. So once you clear that being from your body, you can get access to you. And if you want a really fun video about, great example of this, you can go to my YouTube and search for the time I cleared my mom from my body. Everything changed. My whole life changed. And that's just one story. So that clearing, the entity clearing, has been one of the tools that changed my life the most, because, you know, when we were traveling before COVID, and when you go to different houses, different parts of the world and whatever, you're going to get those sensations that we talked about in the beginning of the video in a lot of different ways. Like I'll walk into airports and my eyes will just go foggy. And so I literally go, hey, all you guys that don't know you don't have a body. First of all, you can go. So a whole slew of them will go. Once you acknowledge to them that, hey, did you know you don't have a body? Then a bunch will leave. And then for the rest of them, you go, okay, guys, the rest of you, truth, who are you? Truth, who were you before that? Truth, who were you before that? And you do the clearing. And your experience of that airport will change. Okay? So, I mean, that's just an airport example, but you can do that at your in-laws' house. You can do that in your own house. You can do that with your own body. You can do that with anything. Okay? Yes, so that is one of the tools that has changed my life the most. I would say the third entity tool that has changed my life the most has been about receiving. And when you start to get into this body of work, you know, the first few classes, we're going to talk more about, hey, what are all the different kinds of entities and how do you deal with them and what's showing up for you? Like, how is this showing up for you? And is what you thought was that really that, or is it something else? So we go into all of that kind of thing, okay? Let me read this. When you say the clearing statement right now, do I have to say it too? No, you don't. No, you don't. I feel so expansive after doing the entity clearing. Thank you. That's amazing, Sandra. So that's one thing you may notice after you've done a clearing on anybody or anything, or even yourself, that you may notice that you have more space in your body. And we get into all the different kinds of entities in the classes. Like there's things called original occupants, where you were not the original occupant in your body. You walked in at a certain age. You know, if you don't have a memory of your life from this age or before, you're very likely what we call a walk-in. It's not weird, it's just what it is. So you may have other original occupants in there. There are other times where you've got sleeper entities and then just wake up one day and all of a sudden you'll know because you'll be struggling with something, and that'll be the symptom. And then we'll start to ask some questions and get awareness. But the third tool that changed my life the most was receive. And it's a tool in the body of work that we really start to get into in the advanced class, but I'm going to give you a little bit now. And so circling back around to the first part of the video where I said the first thing that changed my life the most was recognizing that there are entities and I'm aware of them. There are entities and I'm aware of them, and I belabored that and I'm going to do it again. Okay. So if you don't acknowledge that they're there and you don't acknowledge that you're aware of them, you'll always be at the effect, right? So if you have a capacity for something and you don't claim it and you don't be it, but you have it, your capacity will always be working. It's like a program that, It's like, I'm thinking of a computer, like those programs that run in the background that you don't even realize are running, but they're taking up all the power. It's like that when you don't claim it. So your body will still be responding because your body's aware, and you'll have all these sensations, but you won't be actively responding. You're avoiding and ignoring and all that other stuff. So the third tool that's changed my life the most is the receiving one, because because it's a multifaceted because. What receiving is so conceptual, and it's only a conversation really that I hear in Access. It may be had in other ways in other places, but I've really only heard it in Access. And so I found that the entity world, that what entities facilitated for me was my getting of receiving. We talk, you can't have money if you're not willing to receive money or be it. You can't have more clients if you're not willing to be them or be it or receive it. So receiving is integral to us having what we say we want. But I was really struggling with, like, it was so conceptual, and it's not a cognitive reality, it's an energetic reality. So it's the entities actually that facilitated receiving for me. And the biggest change came when I actually set aside time every single day to have like a 10 or 20 minute like just download session. And what I mean by that is I would literally just sit or have my coffee, or I would be doing my stretching after my workout, and I would lower all my barriers, and I would just allow whoever and whatever was around me to download to me. Now, we have a lot of weird points of view about energy. I don't want to absorb negative energy. There's a lot of I don't want to do this. I need to protect myself from that. I don't want to whatever, right, about energy. But the thing is, like, energy is just energy. And when you lower your barriers and you just receive it all, it actually allows all these beings that are trying to get your attention to communicate to you instantaneously. And what it does is it enlivens your body. It enlivens your body. It enriches your world. It gives you access to a level of being and receiving and perceiving and knowing that you didn't have before. And there's only good stuff. What you find is that there's only good stuff. Even if what you're receiving is that the awareness that there's demons or the awareness of asshole entities, doesn't matter. It's all energy. And that's the thing. I didn't realize how much energy I was keeping out of my world with all my various points of view until I started to choose to just spend 10, 20 minutes a day, which is what we call office hours, lowering my barriers and just allowing everything to download to me. Just receiving it. And that's the thing, like, it's so interesting when you start to choose that. That's probably been, I don't know, these are all game changing. That's my latest game changing, like, entity tool, and the thing that I use the most probably now. So I talk a lot about it now, but one of the questions, and I'll just use that to segue into the question, one of the questions that got sent in for today was, can you talk about entities and money? And, working with entities to create more money is how she phrased it. The thing about money is that it is also an energetic reality. Now that's a whole other video. We've got all these points of view about money. Like, it's, if you ever go through the How to Become Money workbook, it's like takes you through all your points of view. Like, what have you decided it looks like, tastes like, feels like, looks, what's its energy? It like unravels all of our myriad of very unconscious points of view about money. But the truth is, money is also an energetic reality. So entities are energetic, money's energetic. Entities are energetic, money's energetic. So the way to play with this is just to ask. It's like, hey, all of you guys that can contribute something, would you help me? Would you help me? Like, would you bring me some money? Would you bring me a gift today? Would you show me the money? Like, what do you want to ask for? What do you want to ask for their contribution for? That's a terrible sentence, but you get it. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. The bigger conversation with entities and money is, are you willing to, one, acknowledge that entities exist? Acknowledge 2, that you're aware of them. Acknowledge 3, that you could create with them if you chose. Acknowledge 4, that you probably haven't been willing to go on that adventure because you didn't acknowledge 1 and 2. And then 5, choose it anyway, right? Because the thing about this whole universe of consciousness and unseen, unvalidated stuff is that the only way to find out what it can do for and with you is to engage with it. There's no manual. There's no manual for how spirit interaction works for you. There's no we do give you a manual in class, just so you know. but there's no manual for how it works for you, right? So the only way to discover it is to actually discover it. And that's the thing I think we avoid more than anything. Gary Douglas says that all the time. He's like, oh, you guys, the one thing you avoid more than anything is the adventure of living. So you gotta be willing to just engage. Like, how does this work? How, when I engage with entities, like, what am I willing to receive what they bring me? Am I willing to look for it? Am I willing, what if I was? And hey guys, can you come a little closer so I can perceive you and like get more of a sense of you? Like, how's this work? Can you show me how to interact with you? Can you show me how to ask from you and with you? Can you show me what it would be like to create with you? And begin, right? And then I got one more question that I want to address here. Oh, that's a lot of emails. Hold on 1 second. One more question, which is, hey, my name is Viviane. Hi, Viviane. Thank you for your question. When we ask entities if they want to talk to us, contribute to us, or facilitation, how do we know that there's nothing exercising influence on their answer and on our perceptions? Cool. And I will say, guys, that doubt is probably one of the biggest distracting elements that we use when it comes to this body of work, which honestly, I say this body of work, but I could probably I could extrapolate that out to doubt is one of the biggest elements we use when it comes to having what we're aware of, okay? So it ramps up in the entity world because it just does. I don't know why. All the definitions, all the fucking weird shit that's created around entities and the supernatural stuff, like, I don't know. But it's cool because the entity world exposes where we're really functioning from in regards to our own awareness. And most of us doubt ourselves dynamically. And we do it so hard to do it, and it's only energy. So crazy. Yes. So that's why I love that in Access Consciousness, and if you ever come into any of my classes or my little 14-day adventures, the thing that I will constantly come back to and constantly invite you to is, 1, that you do know, and 2, the way that you know is your sense of light and heavy. Now, light and heavy gets bastardized all over Access Consciousness and in a lot of people's worlds. I hear a lot of people using light and heavy for justification for choices. Light and heavy is a sense, okay? Their feelings and senses are different. And what a lot of people do with light and heavy is they solidify their sense of what's light into a feeling to try to justify it and be right about it. So, bodies feel, beings sense. So when something creates a greater sense of space, a greater sense of possibility, a greater sense of ease, that's lightness. When it goes thud, and like you can't move and you're stuck by it and you're crying about it, or there's some kind of problem or that's heavy. Okay? Not that you have to cry when it's heavy. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying the sense of it is either going to go, whoo, oh yeah, that's true, or thud. Not a feeling. It's not a feeling in your body. It's a sense. Okay, that's huge. Because, you know, hey, truth are there. So there's a couple ways that I outcreate my own need for doubt or sabotage. And one of the ways that I outcreate my own tendency towards insanity is I ask myself a lot of yes/no questions. Now, the thing about awareness is it's lightning fast. It's lightning fast. It takes no time, which is why the entity clearing statement, which is all those sentences strung together, is so fast. The entities are energy. They are fast. They don't need time. Time doesn't exist anyway. We made up time. Our awareness is like that. Our awareness is lightning fast. You can become aware of something just like that. It takes no time. You don't have to think. Thinking takes time. Awareness takes no time. So truth, are there entities? So I will ask myself truth so that I don't lie to myself. By the way, that's a trick. Put truth in the front of any question so you don't lie to yourself, or you'll know you're lying. So I go, truth, are there entities here? Yes or no? One of those will always pop. And what I mean is, like, it will just be like, will show up in your head. Like, yes, just showed up in my head. And I was like, okay, cool. Truth, are there any here that need to be cleared? Yes or no? No. Oh, that's interesting. So truth, are there entities here that want to contribute to me? Yes. And then, like, I don't know if you just noticed that, but like in that moment, like all my barriers go down anyway. Like, I'm so grateful. And this will be how it is for you. But that right there is one of the ways that you could start to outcreate your own need to doubt. And I would also just play with, like, what have I made so vital, valuable, and real about doubt that keeps me from the awareness that keeps me from awareness. And everything that is, there's a better one, but let me do that. Everything that is times a godzillion, what you destroyed and created all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What have I made so vital about doubt? For what reason would I doubt? Would an infinite being doubt? No. Well, I would keep abusing myself like that for what reason? And then I really work on, okay, how can I ask myself this that would go around my own need to abuse myself? And that's I think that's probably my fourth favorite thing. I don't know, 15th, 700th favorite thing about this body of work in particular is it really forces you almost. It really kind of forces you to not doubt, just to go around, like just to drop doubt as a choice, to drop, I really just drop it and be like, okay, well, doubting is making my body hurt, and not engaging is making my body hurt, and not, acknowledging is like I'm getting all these headaches, right? So it's like, I've got all this shit going on, and I will keep not acknowledging and not really looking at what it is. For what reason? Never mind. Not my brightest choice. So I understand that, all these specialties, including this one, will speak to you when they do. And if you're watching this and you know a friend that would really get a lot out of this conversation, I'd be really grateful if you'd share it with them. And I'm going to continue to invite you, because this work has really changed my life. So, if you're watching this in current real time, we have an intro tomorrow. You can more than welcome to join us. And I also will do my very first ever online Talk to the Entities beginning at the end of October 2020. So you're also invited there. And the link's in the comments if you'd like to join us. But what are you really aware of? And what capacity for awareness do you really have? And is now the time to choose it? I'll see you guys next week.